Thank you guys very much for showing up and swapping over laptop. Okay, Rich, we'll see you in a second. I'll make sure I watch to let you in. I really appreciate anytime you guys show up when you have the time to the Focus forums. And just, remember, there's always the playback. I'm always going to post it into the chat. What I am going to do moving forward is I'm going to start putting them underneath the kettlebell tab as well, because I think this is all really important for information for you guys to have at your fingertips anytime you want to watch it. So I'm thinking about making like an entirely new section under the kettlebell tab that's just going to be Fit Focus Forum stuff. So, as I was talking about in the group chat today, if you've not gone into that kettlebell tab in a while, and we were talking about the breathing exercises, go in the kettlebell tab. Look at all the stuff that's there. Michael has given me a great idea of putting a kettlebell circuit in there. I also put an ab workout in there that I think I maybe went a little overboard on. Yeah.
It was terrible. I know I'm not supposed to speak.
No, that's okay. Terrible, like fucking hard, terrible, or like
Yeah,
I hate these.
it was.
Yeah.
It was really hard, and movements. Like I just wasn't ready for, and have to try, and
Yeah,
like
of course.
it's
Do
it's definitely for an off day, not a day you're doing something
Oh
because
yeah,
it
no,
requires
absolutely.
a
You
lot
asked
of
me to
total
give you
body
a really advanced core workout, and I'm like,
success.
okay. Challenge accepted. Yeah, in that particular program, if anybody decides to check it out, it's the advanced core one. I wouldn't do it if you're like new to lifting. But if you go into something like that and you see that it's really difficult, choose one or two of the exercises to just practice, right? Maybe throw them into your regular workout at the end. I think one of them is like the barbell rollout. That's not easy. So it's a rollout to stand up, I believe, if I'm remembering properly. And then eventually you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to accomplish something that's a little bit more challenging. But yeah, the kettlebell flow is just a little bit more, a little bit more in the middle ground. I had fun actually making that one, and that's actually where I found that really great space in my gym that just has the perfect lighting and everything to make videos. So asking me to do that helped me a lot. So anyway, guys, so I'm excited about today's topic. It's something that I know a lot of you deal with. And I get asked about this all of the time. And I know that there can be a lot of anxiety around this. And Keith is on the call today. And this is something he deals with literally daily because he's a flight attendant. And it's how to stay on track with your fitness while you're traveling. So, whether you're on the road for work, heading on vacation, or just taking a weekend getaway, travel can make it really easy to fall off your routine. But there is the thing here is that your goals don't take a vacation, excuse me, when you do. All right. So now I'm not saying that you can't enjoy yourself. You absolutely should. I think, if you're part of this program, you already understand what our philosophy is. We're not trying to cut things out. We're not trying to make your life miserable. This is not keto. This is not, one of those extreme diets or workout programs. This is, something that teaches you how to not just eat intuitively, but live intuitively as well. But how many times have you gone on a trip, thrown all of your structure out of the window and eaten like crap, skipped all of your workouts, and come home feeling bloated, sluggish, and like you've undone weeks of progress? I absolutely have, right? I'm a human being too. Just because I'm coach doesn't mean that I'm not falling into some of the same traps sometimes that everyone else does. I mean, I think that you need to admit that you're human to get better at these things, right? So that's what we're here to fix. Today, we're going to talk about simple, realistic ways to keep your fitness in check while still having a good time. Because the reality is that you can stay on track without the person eating dry chicken breast out of Tupperware at the beach. Because I've been that person. And that's just fucking miserable because at the beach, well, I don't like eating at the beach anyway because sand. I don't know how people eat at the beach, but I want to enjoy myself a little bit more, at least be able to have alcohol. So here's what we're going to cover today. So we're going to talk about how to eat healthy while traveling. I've got some fast food hacks, packing food, making smart choices, how to work out while you're away. So this includes things like hotel gyms, which I know that Keith is used to, in-room workouts, and also day passes, at local gyms in whatever city you're in. How to balance fitness and fun. So setting goals and making movement a little bit easier. And then why consistency matters more than perfection when you're traveling. So before we dive in, and I'm glad that we have a few people on the call today. So I would love for you guys to participate as much as you possibly can. And you can do that by either, dropping in the chat, or when I do ask a question, feel free to take yourself off mute and go ahead and answer. I have no problem with that. But I'm curious, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge you face when you travel? Is it food, workouts, or motivation? You can write all three too if you want.
think it just depends on the type of travel, to be honest. Like work
True.
travel, I'm generally not motivated. Thankfully, I don't do that that often. And then it's finding a facility, like planning before I go to make sure that like if I'm doing something that's heavy, I can like get that done like this week before I go. So my like the rest of the week I can just do some maintenance stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you sent me a picture of the gym this morning, right? Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I had a lot of messages today.
No,
So that
okay.
was good. You're doing a little bit of research into the place that you're going to be, so you have some clear expectation of what you're able to accomplish. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome. Rich said, all three, and I agree with you that all three things are difficult. This is why we're having this conversation today: food, workouts, and motivation. Okay, cool. So let's jump right in. I want to talk about the biggest travel mistake first. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they travel is think they having to be all in or all out, right? You either feel like you have to be 100% strict, tracking every macro, hitting every workout, or you just say screw it and completely go off the rails. I've done both. Again, being human, I've gone into the mentality about I'm in the middle of something, I'm doing a build or I'm doing a cut, I can't fuck it up. And then I've also been like, fuck it. I went to Italy with my mother for 2 weeks and just didn't do anything except eat pasta and drink wine the whole time. Don't get me, it was wrong, but I wasn't super thrilled about the way that my midsection looked when I got home from that trip. And also, if she is watching this on a replay at any time in life, I love you very much, but 2 weeks is a long time to spend with somebody. So, we had some friction, which probably led us to drink a little bit more, right? So, the point is, you either feel like you have to be 100% strict, track every macro, hit every workout, or say screw it. And neither of those things is a good strategy. And here's why. So when you try to be too strict on vacation, you feel miserable. You miss out on wonderful experiences. And I'm a huge fan of food. My mother's Italian. I think that's like part of my genetics. I'll say that my husband it doesn't feel the same way about food. He enjoys it, but I don't think it like the same level that I do. It's just because like, in the culture that I was raised in, like everything was centered around the table, right? So when I go on vacation, I want to eat. I want to enjoy local cuisine. That's why I'm there. Missing out on experiences can also be missing out on things that aren't necessarily as physically active as you want them to be, and you usually end up on binging at some point, right? You've been on vacation for 4 or 5 days, you're there for a whole week, and on day 6 you're like, fuck it, I haven't been able to enjoy everything. And then by the end of that day you feel just sick because you've completely gone off the rails, and you feel sluggish, you feel disconnected from your goals, and it's so much harder to get back on track with your routine when you return. And that applies to if you just go completely off the rails for the whole trip as well. So the key here is to really find the middle ground. All right. Think of travel as a time to maintain progress, not necessarily make progress. All right. That means that your goal is to keep the momentum going, not to be perfect, but not to completely fall off either. So if you're in a weight loss phase and you go on vacation, the goal is to stay at the same weight that you're at. Right. And if you're in a build phase or a refeed phase, your goal is to stay where you're at. All right. And if you can kind of change your mindset around that this is not a time to make progress, it's going to be a lot easier on your psyche, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to practice some of the things that we're going to talk about today. All right. This is where the 2 meal rule comes in. I like to follow this when I'm traveling, kind of like a little bit of a secret weapon. It's hands down the easiest way to stay on track without feeling like you're dieting on vacation. So eating 2 structured meals a day that are on plan, and then the other meal you're allowed to be flexible and enjoy yourself. This works really, really well for me. And if you think about the balance of that, it's still geared more towards you maintaining than if you were to have one on track meal and like 2 meals where you're able to let yourself go, right? And that's it. Most people mess up by thinking they need to be perfect or give up entirely. Instead, if you can lock in the 2 meals per day, making sure that you have good protein, carbs, and fats, you're already winning. So, here's how it works. Excuse me. So a good meal example would be like if you were at a pool at an all-inclusive resort and they have a menu and the menu has like a grilled salad with avocado and some vinaigrette at it, right? I think that's actually a really good meal to eat on vacation. I would look forward to something like that, minus the avocado, because I'm one of those people. I'm one of the 3 people on earth that doesn't like it. But that is a great way for you to be like, okay, this was one of my meals that is a little bit more in line with the blueprint, right? And then I'll go back to the Italy example. You go out to dinner you're having pasta, like you're traveling in Italy, you're going to eat pasta, you're going to drink wine. So, because you've been able to, get those two other meals during the day that were on track, that you can enjoy yourself and not worry too much about it. You're enjoying it, but you're staying within control. So, this works at all inclusive resorts, cruises, also works at work trips. My favorite thing, and we actually book hotels. We're Marriott people. We have all these points now because my husband travels for work, which is great. But usually now we get the free breakfast with it, and a lot of times that's the breakfast buffet. So this is a really easy time. Keith probably has a breakfast buffet every fucking hotel, right? Some of them are crap, right? But it's nice when they have like eggs and other things in there, which is what we just experienced when we were in Amsterdam. It's really easy to pick out the things that you want, right? So, go for the eggs, go for some wheat toast, use the peanut butter, even if it has sugar in it, because, normally we're trying not to eat the sugary peanut butter, but you can look at your blueprint or just know what you're supposed to be eating and just make smart choices because it's a buffet. I like buffets if you're staying on track. I don't like buffets if you're using it as your fun meal. Because if you use a buffet as your fun meal, then you've eaten 7 meals in one, at least me by the end of that, right? So just be careful with that one. It definitely works better for breakfast rather than the other meals. But this allows you to enjoy your fun meal later at dinner or lunch or whenever you want to make that happen. So if you had to be on vacation, all right, and this is where I'd like you guys to participate a little bit. I mean, you had to pick 2 meals, breakfast, lunch, or dinner to stay on track. What do you think the meals that you chose would be? And again, you can raise your hand or you can turn your mic off or you can drop it in the chat.
It's pretty easy. It's breakfast and lunch for me.
Yeah, I agree. For me, that's the best too. Because normally by the end of the day, everybody's kind of come back together if you're with a group of people or you're going out to dinner. Dinner on vacation is like the best thing, right? So that's where I want to save all of my calories for. And it's a lot easier to eat a healthy lunch than it is to eat a healthy dinner, in my opinion.
I'd actually be okay like dropping some calories in breakfast and lunch too, with the expectation to destroy myself at dinner.
I love that. Destroy yourself at dinner. That's exactly what I did in Italy the whole time. But apologies. I'm eating something right now. I'm trying to stay on track with something. Rich, breakfast and lunch, breakfast and lunch. Matthew, I agree. I think we're all in agreement here. If one of those other meals is easier for you, like if dinner's easier for you to stay on track, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think it makes more sense to be able to save that up. By the end of the day too, that's probably when you're going to have a drink. And once you're having a drink at dinner, it can kind of all go out the window, right? So we save it for that. That's pretty much exactly what I thought everyone was going to say. So cool. All right. So fast food hacks. Here's another thing. Fast food is not inherently 100% bad all of the time. I try to avoid it because it's just not good for you. But if I'm traveling, then, I kind of see it as a treat. And sometimes you're like stuck in an airport. We've all been stuck in an airport where our flight has been delayed, especially with the flights in the US, right? Or you're on a road trip, you don't really have control over your meals. If you've ever stopped at like a rest stop on the Garden State Parkway, there's nothing healthy there, right? So here's the thing. You can eat fast food and stay on track. We actually have a resource for this in your resource bank. So if you're watching this after the fact, go to the resource bank. It's called the Fast Food Cheat Sheet, but I am dropping it in the chat. All right. So the Fast Food Cheat Sheet just has a couple of, popular fast food restaurants from around the country, because I know that we're not all in the same place. And just some ideas with some calorie counts on things that you might be able to lean into if you're trying to make one of these meals not necessarily one of those fuck it meals, right? So it really is just all about making better choices, even when you're at fast food restaurants. So what are you going to look for in fast food, right? So this is a pretty simple one: grilled over fried. I mean, that's just kind of common sense. Protein heavy meals, sauces and dressings on the side. I want to bring this up right now. Wendy's and McDonald's, I find to be the biggest ones on this. They have salads, right? And everybody was so excited when they came out with salads. If you add the entire dressing packet on that salad, it has as many calories as a Big Mac, right? So you want to make sure that if you are using the dressing, just a little bit, I don't really like that amount of dressing on my salad anyway, but That's something that I've seen people run into as a trap. So just be very careful there. Balanced carbs too, right? So, you've got fries, maybe you've got a bun, maybe you've got rice. Try to choose one, but not all three. Okay. So, if you'd rather enjoy the French fries than the bun, throw the bun out, eat the burger, and then eat the French fries. That would be my choice. And I'm saying it because I love French fries so much. You're going to see a lot of this in the fast food cheat sheet that I just sent you guys. That's in the resource bank. But if you're going to places that you can make your own food, like Chipotle, I hate to say it, but Subway, it's not my favorite place on earth. But you can put your food together. Any salad place, right? Um, you can choose the items that go in your meals, so you can make it a lot easier to get that one meal to be on track, right? Think about Chipotle. You could do like a bowl with double protein, light on the rice, and lots of veggies, trying to avoid throwing all the cheese on there and the sour cream. Um, Maybe even just doing a little bit. But if you tell them to put it on, they're going to load it up. Remember, guys, fats have 9 calories per gram. So if you're trying to watch your calorie count at a fast food restaurant, think about how much fat is in something as well. Um, Chick-fil-A. I'm just gonna. I always check. I always practice presenting before I do, and I was making myself laugh because I was like, "Do I call it hate chicken, or do I just kind of go over that?" Right? It's funny because the only reason that people are really against Chick-fil-A when it comes to like gay guys and LGBTQ is because they were in the news about it, right? Found out they were making donations and stuff. Honestly, if you dig into any single corporation in this country, you're going to find somebody that's running it that you don't like. You know, your money is going to be going somewhere that you don't like. That's just how it works. Chick-fil-A is really fucking good. And if you've never had it, I highly recommend trying it. And they actually have a lot of really good options and a lot more than any other place because it's chicken based, right? And it's generally a lower fat protein. So they've got grilled chicken sandwiches and watch the mayonnaise and stuff, right? We were talking about the fat. They've got side salads, and again, watch the dressings. They even have grilled chicken nuggets, right? So it is really a wonderful place if you're looking for a fast food restaurant to eat. And we're still going to call it hate chicken just because it's funny. Starbucks is actually not bad either. I'll say with the coffee drinks, I think you guys probably are all very smart. You know this already. French fries are crack for Richard. Yeah, I get French fries are really good. They're one of my favorite things. Um, but Starbucks, right? The drinks. The drinks are like 1,000 calories with all the sugar that they put in. So just be really careful with the drinks. But as far as the food is concerned, they've got the egg white bites. So if you're like stopping in somewhere for breakfast before you're going on like a tour somewhere in a city that you're visiting, that's great. The other one I like is the egg white and turkey bacon. They've had that one forever. It comes on like the wheat English muffin. That's the one that I get all the time. It's a little higher in calories than the egg white bites in the protein box, but you get my point. There are avenues that you can take to make these things healthier so you don't completely go off the rails. I'm curious. So another question for you guys. What is your favorite fast food chain? And what is one thing at your fast food chain that you think would be a healthy option? I already told you mine. It's Chick-fil-A, but you're not allowed to tell anybody because apparently I'll get yelled at.
I'm gonna double up on Chick-fil-A. I know it's not great for the community, but I actually like only look for them when I travel because they're options. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
lucky.
so
My wife
good.
and I are on the same page with fitness. So when we travel, it's like really exciting to like not exciting, but like we always try to find the right thing. And the
Yeah,
Starbucks sous vide bites, I like don't even think about it. Like I just put that order in.
yeah.
To make everyone laugh, I read with one of these Instagram people that I follow that's in fitness that if you have to count the calories in your coffee or you're really drinking coffee, like because a
That's true.
cappuccino
It's a
like a
milkshake.
star, yeah, exactly, like
That's
a
the point,
cappuccino
right?
is only like
Yeah.
100 calories, but if you have like a frappuccino that's like 500 calories for breakfast as a coffee, like, is it really coffee?
A donut is not a breakfast food. It is cake
Yeah,
for breakfast.
it in Italy is a
Seriously.
breakfast food, that's it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you get it served on your balcony with everything else. There's nothing
Exactly,
wrong with that. That's fantastic. That's when breakfast is the fun meal.
yeah, exactly.
Italy's listen, Italy's a tough one. Yeah, every single meal in Italy, you're going to want to fall off track. So, if you're going to have one of those fuck it all vacations, make that it. Shake
Yeah,
Shack, yes.
yeah.
So that's
If
another
I
one that we didn't bring up.
I
Go
was gonna
ahead.
say if I can't find, I just end up going to like deli meat and some good
Yeah.
like low fat cheese as a meal. It's not ideal from like the salt and
Mhm.
preservatives, but it's just a better option to have like deli chicken breast and like a paleo string cheese.
That's exactly what I was going to respond before you said it, is it has a lot of the preservatives and stuff in it. If you are going to go for deli meat and you are trying to stay a little bit more on track, look for like a turkey breast that's not necessarily the chopped and formed one, or roast beef. Roast beef is actually usually a really good option if you're going for deli meat. Um, Very rare that the roast beef is like chopped and formed like everything else, and when you see chopped and formed, that means it's just full of shit. Um, Shake Shack, I get the burger without cheese and dressing and lettuce wrap. I get fries, no cheese and water. That's fantastic. Thank you for that, Rich. I didn't know that they did that at Shake Shack with the lettuce wrap. That's a good idea. I know that there are burger places I've come into before that will give you lettuce instead of a bun, and that goes right into what we were talking about before. Choosing one carb instead of like all three. You know. All right, guys. I appreciate your participation for this. Seriously. Let's talk about workouts now. Since we've kind of really covered the food, I'm going to leave room for questions at the end. So if you have any questions about food that we didn't cover and you want to go over, there will be a little Q&A in a bit. But I want to talk about workouts because, you know, you've got a couple options here. Not everywhere you're going to go is going to have a gym. That's not a problem. But if you do have a gym, that's better, right? But not all gyms are created equal, as Keith knows very, very well. And I used to actually travel as a presenter for Stages Indoor Cycling. So I used to go to places like Lansing, Michigan, and the hotel I stayed at was a Red Roof Inn, and they had a gym, and it was just one of the worst gyms I've ever seen. But it all depends where you are. If you are doing the hotel gym, this is why we're here. We can help you out with the substitutions. You can send us a picture of the gym, and if you need our help, we will go in and we'll change those workouts around for you. But another thing that you can do at the gym, especially if it's a really crappy gym that only has like treadmills and like elliptical machines, because I've seen those before as well. There's a wonderful hotel in New Smyrna, Florida, on the Space Coast, and I'm joking. It's not a wonderful hotel, but I went to with my parents there, um, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go down to the gym," and it was exactly that. It was a treadmill and an elliptical machine, and I think it should be illegal to call that a gym. But if that's all you have, and you're not going to be having a highly active vacation, like maybe you're going to be on a boat touring New York City, or something, or wherever you're at, and you're not going to be getting all your steps in, then just take 20 minutes and do an incline walk on the treadmill. So there's always an option to get some physical activity. In addition to that, in-room body weight workouts. All right. I just threw one of these in program today for Clinton Barnes that is traveling to London next week. So he's going to be doing all of his body weight workouts in his room. I usually like to do three. If I'm there for a week, we'll do three full bodies, right? And just leave a day of rest in between. It's quick, it gets it done. You hit your full body, you're making sure that everything is staying active, but then you're also not working out every single day so that you can just enjoy yourself. When I'm on vacation, I want to enjoy myself. I'm the opposite of you, Michael. When I'm on a work trip, I'm actually motivated to work out because I'm trying to replicate my day at home where I'm at, you know? Like when I just went to Austin, the first thing I did when I went there was I worked out. I was also with a bunch of other fitness professionals, so it was a little bit easier. I understand my situation is different. But yeah, three times a week, if you're there, I would say that would be enough. Again, we're trying to find the middle ground here and not make ourselves miserable and leave ourselves time to enjoy our vacation, but also not pissing everybody else off that we're with as well. Because if everybody's not as into fitness or taking care of themselves as much as you are, they're not going to want to wait around for you for an hour to finish a workout every day before they go do the things they want to do on their vacation. Who here has ever stayed in a hotel with the worst gym ever? I think I just told you two of mine. Keith, yeah. They call a broken bike and a step a gym. That will be your worst gym. Richard, do you remember what hotel that was? Mine really was that Red Roof Inn. It was insane. There was bugs on the floor. All right. If he tells us, I'll let you guys know. A Holiday Inn in Iowa. Well, sounds about right. All right. Cool. So, instead of thinking about exercise when you're on a trip, if you don't have access to a gym, just think about movement. All right. So, how are we going to keep moving on vacation? Walk everywhere. And, it's not necessarily possible in a really cold climate if you're going to visit in a cold climate. But if you have the possibility, walk everywhere. Italy's really good for that. So that definitely kind of counteracted some of the way that we were eating when I was there with my mother. My husband and I went there a couple of years ago, and it was a little different. We were on a cruise, so we got a lot more exercise when we're doing the excursions. But another way that you can do this is you can rent, if you've got a far distance to go, rent bikes instead of using taxis. I think most major cities, not just in the US, but around the world, they have the bike racks like we do here in New York, like the city bike. Um, but there is a caveat here, right? There's the electric bike, and then there's the bike that you actually have to pedal. So if you're using it to try to keep movement, if it's possible, go for the bike that you have to pedal instead of the electric bike or the scooter, because I think we all know that you're not really doing anything on those bikes, right? You're just turning a couple times and then going. There's also local classes, so maybe trying something out that you might not normally do, like a yoga class, a Pilates class. There's circuit classes, CrossFit. It's not my favorite thing, but if that's the option that you have, I could not imagine biking in New York City. It looks fucking scary. I do it every day. I actually have a scooter going against my own thing, but I live here and I work out. But yeah, it's actually not that scary. In New York City, almost every street has a bike lane. So it's not as bad as you think it is. And I live right on the West Side Highway on the Hudson River. And the Hudson River Park bikeway is one of the coolest things ever. And they're extending it. They keep extending it. And it goes all the way from the Lower East Side now, all the way up to Harlem, above Harlem, even. So you can actually literally stay off the streets of Manhattan all the way to the top of Manhattan. Going to the East Side is a little bit of a different story. But yeah, it's really cool. It's not as scary as you think it is. But just kind of going back to the topic, using a gym day pass as well. Class Pass is great for this. There's another one called Gym Pass. And then, just Googling a gym and seeing if they have a day pass if you have some extra time and you want to go. Guys, what's one activity that you always do on vacation? For me, it's walking. I like walking everywhere when I'm on vacation. I'm also a New Yorker, so we're kind of used to that. But if we're going to be somewhere, I want to explore either walking or biking for me.
Hike. We're hiking in this upcoming trip. Actually, we booked a hike up one of the mountains.
Oh, nice. Where is it again?
We're going to Antigua.
Antigua. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be beautiful.
So there's a hike right near the hotel where we're staying, so we're going to do that.
Cool. Food tours, mostly walking, but always eating. Well, there's your balance, right? It's about finding balance. I like that. All right, awesome. So, final takeaway here, guys. There's 3 key rules for staying on track while you're traveling. Stick to 2 structured meals per day. Move more, not less. Try to walk, try to explore, try to stay active. Use bikes instead of taxis whenever possible, unless it's 20 degrees in New York City. Thank God this week was much better. I'm so happy that it was 60 degrees. Oh my God. I was told, by the way, that it was winters weren't bad anymore since I left. And apparently this was the worst winter we've had since the year that I left. So it go a lot less outdoor activity for me moving back to New York this year, but normally that's the case. And, guys, think of, momentum, not perfection, right? We're not trying to be perfect. We're letting go a little bit, but we're not letting go completely. As with everything we do in this program, we're finding the middle ground so that we can maintain happiness while still getting results. All right. Fitness itself is not about perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about creating a lifestyle that works wherever you are. So the next time that you're on a trip, don't fall into the all in or all out trap. Instead, you want to focus on staying consistent enough to not lose your progress, but not so strict that you don't enjoy yourself. Sound good? All right. Do you guys have any questions? Anything I didn't go over that you might want to cover? Food tours, it's your fault. Thank you. I don't know what that means by it's your fault. Clarify on that one for me. Oh, the winter in New York City. That's right. I think I said that to you. I keep telling everybody it's my fault because I moved back. That's why it was 20 degrees for 3 months straight. Oh my God. It was just absolutely horrible.
It's been rough, but it's also been a New York winter. and I like remind,
Correct.
you know, yeah, but it's just been a
Yeah.
while.
And it's nice that, not the entire planet is on fire, although Long Island is right now. But come on, man. I was like, I lived in Miami for 9 years. I'm very happy to be here. In New York City is a much more exciting place. There's so much more to do. The music in New York City is so much better. I mean, it's very difficult to find music that we enjoyed in Miami. And I think the people are nicer here. I mean, New Yorkers have a bit of a bad reputation, but here's the thing: we're not mean. We're just busy. Just make sure you're not in our way, and everything's fine. If you ask a New Yorker for help, they'll help you. You just have to walk with them while they help you. That's all, you
Yeah, you
know.
just got to
And I
figure out how
think
to get us to stop. If you can get us to stop, we're great. But
correct
if
or walk with
you're on the
us. I actually
warpath, you're in trouble.
right after we moved here, a woman could not find her direction somewhere, and Alper and I were walking down the street, and she just started walking as fast as we were. She's like, "Can you help me out?" And Alper was like, "This is how you ask for help." I thought it was great. All right, we have a question. When you go out for breakfast and you can't control what cooked the eggs or meat is in, do we just add X amount of fat into our count? Absolutely. So what I always do, if I'm eating out, I always just add half a tablespoon of olive oil into my tracking if you're tracking, right? And this is vacation or normal life, because there's something that they're using to cook the food with. And if you're really trying to stay in your deficit, overestimating is a lot better than underestimating, right? So yeah, that's exactly the answer. Go ahead and add like again, I do like half a tablespoon, unless you're in like Georgia and you get eggs served in a pile of lard. That might be a different thing. I've had that. I used to work. My first job was at a restaurant in North Carolina called Circle K. I lived there for a very, very short amount of time. It's not even worth the story. Um, but that's what they had, a big thing of lard on the grill that was melted, and they had a ladle. Like I'm talking a soup ladle. And they would ladle it on and then just drop the eggs in it. Yeah. So that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about normal restaurants, but it just brought up an interesting memory. All right, guys, if you don't have any more questions, we'll call it. I really appreciate you guys coming every week that we do this. I'm actually going to do another one next week because I was a week late on this because I was on my trip and then not feeling well. We're going to do one next Thursday. Okay, it'll be at 7 p.m. I have not decided on the topic yet. So if there's anything that you guys would like me to talk about, drop it in the group chat on the app. All right. And then we can see what would be the most helpful for the community. Sound good? All right, guys. It's good to see you. Thank you very much.